the gas station, and he is a smart young man, and he has great computer skills, and he is the video whiz-bang guy at his high school, so this is right up his alley. He's going to use this on his resume, and I think that's a real cool thing. It just fascinates me still to this day that we can do this and come into your homes and come onto your telephones, and you can watch and interact with us, and we can all talk barbecue together. So something that I love, and I know the people that watch it with regularity, they love it too, and it's just a fun time. You meet great people. I saw a great webinar Wednesday night. The NBBQA, I think it's it. It's an organization I belong to. They did a webinar about bringing your brand to market, and I want to offer them kudos. They did a great job, and there was a very informative seminar. Sterling Smith from Loot and Booty was on. He was one of the panel members, and he had some very good remarks and ideas about bringing your different things to markets. We're going to go to the radio station now and get on with them live at Talk Radio 102.3. We'll be contacting them in just a moment. Hey, Joe, what's up?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, good. How you doing, man?
Good.
Any red zone tonight?
No red zone.
No red zone. What's on after us then? Do you know?
I'm guessing Free Talk Live.
Okay.
I'm assuming. I'm not sure.
Is that you? Are you Free Talk Live?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Hey,
it would be free.
Okay. Hey, one thing, when they play the commercials, can you turn that volume down in ours a little bit and maybe come back hard with it like the last 10 seconds before we come back? Is that possible?
So bring it back up with about 10 seconds before we come back?
Because what we do, we talk during the commercial breaks with the guest, and that's people like that. That's interesting.
Okay, so I'll turn it down all the way or just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit, so I can still I can barely hear it, and then with 10 seconds to go before airtime, bring it back up.
Okay, all right. Are the music levels good and everything?
Yeah, I can't hear them, but that doesn't matter as long as the people at the radio can hear them. Go ahead and call Steve, Aaron.
Okay, I'll bring that up a little bit, see if it helps.
Okay, good deal. Sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
All right, let me put you on hold and just make sure you can still hear everything, and I'll come back to you, okay?
Good deal.
Wauwatosa Fire Department.
Police Chief Barry Weber says none of the injuries appear to be life-threatening. You're listening to ABC News.
Are you good?
Perfect. And I mean,
all right, man.
Perfect. Yeah, just turn it down a little bit, and then we'll that'll be great.
Okay, do you want me to turn it down before we get to the intro?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hang on, brother. Coming to you here in a little bit.
All right. You not answering here?
5 Monday, sunny and a high near 59. I'm Greg Schaefer on WGOW.
I've heard it all. The guy at the other tire store said they were as good as Michelin's. I'm not going to have this car much longer, so I don't need Michelin's. I like to have Michelin's, but they cost me. Tough being. Let me assure you, there is no tire as good as a Michelin. You need the best tire, and that's Michelin. At the Midnight Oil and Noodle Walk, we make Michelin tires affordable. Call us at the Midnight Oil, 643-1111.
Hello. Hey, Steve, you there?
Get your price. Because
yes,
the
sir.
leader in tires is Michelin. Midnight Oil and Noodle Walk.
It's hard to hear me.
If you enjoy woodwork,
but,
it's fine. I hear you fine.
Okay. I'll do a little introduction, and then I'll introduce you, and you'll know when you're on the air.
Warehouse, stock full of whatever type
Sounds
of
good.
wood
You'll be on the air. You'll be hot the entire time.
You'll find cedar, hickory, maple, and even exotic woods and purpose woods available. Over 30 different
yes, sir.
Shake your head up and down. It's on you.
Skip the trip to the big box store and go straight to the goods. Chattanooga hardwood.
Everything good in New Milton, West Virginia?
Yeah. Hi, it's Quake, guys.
It is, except I just shook my head up and down and I knew you couldn't see me.
Or something else like sleep apnea.
I think I've had a little too much of the bourbon in my glass, but you'll have days like that.
Tom Hyde has joined us. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Happy Friday to you. Jeff Maxwell's on the line.
Or covered by most health insurance. So, if you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have weight gain, and loss of muscle, go to Low, the letter T-Center.com to book your appointment. That's Low, the letter T-Center.com. Low T-Center, reinventing men's health care. Let's get a couple more thoughts from Patty, who's a satisfied customer of Armstrong Relocation. Talking about that baby grand piano, were you nervous about them moving it?
No, I wasn't, because by then
Chris Lemon says, "What's up, Steve Dotson?"
They had taken such good care of all my antiques.
Lim, that's the barbecue gypsy. That man traveled all over the country to compete and chase points this year.
He's the man.
They stored all of our stuff in big wooden crates that they brought out in a special...
From the great state of West by God, Virginia.
Patty, tell me a little bit about the cruise.
They were actually fun. I made him promise I could have them to unload me the month later because they were so wonderful.
That feels like forever ago now.
But they were so careful when they would explain everything they've done, how they wrap, why they did what they did, how they packaged it.
We're darn near immune to it. Pepperoni rolls and moonshine.
They were just
if COVID's the worst thing you get in West Virginia, you're doing
Call
good.
Mark at Armstrong Relocation, 643-3720 for a free consultation and
rascal.
That's 643-3720, Armstrong Relocation, the absolute best.
The reviews
I love
have
that
been
movie,
read
VR
and
Marshall. That's a great movie.
Value, ease of use,
fantastic,
dependability, and great tasting
Al Salvage
food.
has joined us. Al will be going
the
live.
Green Mountain Grill. At the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop, we have all 3 Green Mountain grills plus plenty of accessories, plus free assembly and instruction. You'll love the way your food tastes, and the versatility of the Green Mountain Grill is second to none. Get yours at the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the barbecue show here on WGOW, Talk Radio 102.3. Joe, on that intro, I'm just having a little hard time hearing it, but that's all right. We'll get it worked out. It's the weekend, and it's time to start smoking and grilling here on the barbecue show, Talk Radio 102.3. And we are also live right now on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page. It's a barbecue simulcast, and that's almost as fun as a real barbecue. You can give us a call. Our number is 267-1023, 423-267-1023. You're welcome to call. Joe Varner is back at the radio studio producing the show, taking your calls. At my side, Aaron Carver is our engineer here in the Facebook side of things, and back at his house, Jeff Maxwell is monitoring and entertaining you in the chat room. Our broadcast partner is Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook, the #1 destination for questions, answers, and even if you want to post some pictures and do a little bragging, go to Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook. We're in touch, so you can get in touch with us. Follow Owl's Nest Barbecue on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget, Owl's Nest, all the shows from the barbecue show and the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show are available on podcast on the Spotify realm. That's 423-267-1023. If you got a question about barbecue, we will be taking your calls here in just a few moments. Now I want to introduce our guest for tonight. Now, Chattanooga, all my friends here on Facebook and on the Facebook side have met this guy, but I'm gonna tell you something. This man is much wiser than his age. He is an accomplished backyard barbecue warrior, and he started just like the rest of us, knowing very little about live fire cooking. He's a brand ambassador and exhibitor for Char Griller, one of the biggest outdoor grill companies in America. He has taken his grilling skills to the competition level and is now the pitmaster of DQ Barbecue Team and competes on the KCBS Backyard Tour. He recently completed the national season-long competition, finishing in the top 10 of the KCBS Backyard Series. He attended Fairmont State University, home of the Falcons, and the college home of NBA Ironman Leroy Loggins. Chattanooga, help me, and let's welcome to the barbecue show from New Milton, West Virginia, the Cookout coach, Steve Dotson. Have you ever had an introduction that good, Steve-O?
I was going to tell you, Steve, that's way more than I deserve, buddy, but I do appreciate it.
Man, you're all of those things, Steve Dotson from New Milton, West Virginia. We appreciate you being on the barbecue show here in Chattanooga. Everybody in Chattanooga is excited to meet you and hear about your barbecue escapades and your barbecue history, Steve. And let's just jump right into it. What got you started in barbecue at your house?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, I've always loved barbecue ribs, and they didn't even have to be good ones back in the day. Essentially, from the time that I had baby back ribs cooked by someone even close to good, and we're talking about fall off the bone baby back ribs at this point, I knew that was something that I wanted in my life forever. Unfortunately, North Central West Virginia isn't exactly what you would call a barbecue mecca. So there was a little hole-in-the-wall place when I was in college that made ribs. And, looking back on it, I don't even know if he actually made them on the smoke or not, but they were delicious. And it was called Ralphie's. And Ralphie got sick, and Ralphie's went away. And see, that kind of went away. And it was about the time I graduated college, went into the workforce, and it just as people who are realizing that they're slowly marching through the mundaneness of adulthood we started talking about cooking and grilling. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a shot at cooking some barbecue ribs because I haven't had any for a long time. And I had a Weber kettle, and I found Meathead's Amazing Ribs website and figured out how to set up 2-zone fire. I made some ribs. They weren't terrible. They definitely weren't good, but that was back in probably 2014 or 2013. And from then, like all of us here, it became a quest. It became this is suddenly a craft that I wasn't so far off that I needed to just quit and walk away.
Now,
I was close enough that I said I can get this.
Now, when you used that kettle, did you set it up offset a little bit, Steve, or did you go right over the coals?
No. I did my best to do my research, so I didn't have anything but the kettle. But so we banked all the coals to one side, and I'd actually set 2 water pans in there. I'd set one in front of the coals to act as a barrier down on the charcoal grate, and I set one right above the charcoal also to try to keep it. Essentially, that one, I guess, was a safeguard to try to keep the temps from spiking because this was an old kettle. This is a kettle that's still in my family. I think it might technically be older than me, but there was definitely no thermometers. I, at the time, had no thermometers. So I was going by a guess. You read online back then and said, just open all the vents up to about a pencil width and you'll be good. So, I was on the wing of a prayer just trying to trust what I could. And I didn't make anybody sick, so I call that a win.
So ribs were the first thing. And usually everybody tries to tackle a brisket first thing and messes it up really good. So you're probably pretty smart. If you don't do a chicken, I guess ribs would be the next best thing to try.
Yeah, and it's funny because whenever we got onto the KCBS circuit, up until this year, chicken was always our crutch category. For some reason, we could just cook competition chicken. But chicken's one of those things that until I'm done cooking it, and I take a bite and I go, man, that's pretty good. Nothing about chicken makes me go, man, I really want to cook some chicken tonight. Some smoked chicken tonight would be awesome. I've never said those words, but it's one of those things that when I do it, we got a chicken, let's go ahead and smoke it. I get done with it, I'm like, man, I should smoke chicken more often. But yeah,
hey,
as
Steve,
far as the first thing I'm going to jump to throw on there, yes, sir.
Steve, we've got questions coming in from the chat room on the Facebook side. Our friend Michael Williams down here in Oldtown, he wants to know what your favorite pork brisket and chicken rubs are.
Okay, so my favorite pork rub is going to be Cosmos Q Honey Killer Bee. I think that's a great rub. I love sweet pork. That's got some sweetness to it, but it's also got plenty of salt in it, so it's going to go great. Brisket rubs. Probably my favorite brisket rub is, I'm going to have to say, would be Eat Barbecue's The Most Powerful Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's super great. On top of that, you can always just go SPG for some stuff, for some more coarseness, but Eat Barbecue, old Pellet Envy, you can't beat that stuff. It's been around forever. It's fantastic.
That was Rod
and
Gray.
Then,
he was on the show
Rod
last
Gray.
weekend. Yeah, he was on the show last week.
Yeah, the guy's a wealth of knowledge, just a legend in barbecue. And for chicken, again, I'm going to probably have to go back to Cosmos Q, just some Dirty Bird Hot, get a little extra kick on it. It's a salty rub. It's just classic barbecue with a little bit of extra kick on the end of it. Delicious. It's my favorite.
So after you, and I appreciate that. It's a great question too, Steve, where I'm always interested in what the other guys like to use. What when you upgraded, when you went from your kettle, how long did you use your kettle, and then what did you go to when you upgraded?
Well, so I used the kettle for probably 2 or so years, and I realized that I was probably messing up a lot because I didn't have my fire management dialed in, my temp control. So, like I think a lot of people do, you can get these electric smokers for pretty cheap, and the temperature aspect of it gets taken out of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So while I don't really recommend electric smokers to folks now, because I know different things, you can go with a pellet cooker like the Green Mountains you sell at your store, a lot of companies are selling this pellet cooker.
Yeah.
I would recommend it that way. But at the time being, I picked up a master-built electric smoker. And what that allowed me to do was sort of take fire management out of it and just focus on what meat does when you cook it, to get to probe tender. What's that actually do? How long does that take? And I ran with that electric smoker for about a year, but I kept playing with the kettle because I knew in the back of my mind, this is cool and this works, but this isn't live fire cooking. This isn't as exciting as actually managing a fire.
No.
And so I think about a year later is when I got into an Eggcorn, and that was my first foray with char griller. And to this day, I'm staring at that original Eggcorn right now. I got another one right behind me. They're my go-to cookers, are the char griller Eggcorns.
And the Acorn, that is the Kamado style cooker, right?
Yes, sir. It's a steel Kamado. I think the thing's darn near indestructible, and it does a great job.
So so you're cooking in your backyard. You've got a Kamado. You've got a Weber kettle. What did you do? Where did you go to hone your skills? Did you go to YouTube? Did you get some books by pit masters? Right when you were starting was the heyday of barbecue, so to speak, with Barbecue Pit Masters was running hard on television. Everybody was watching that. That's what got me started. Where did you go, and what did you do to up your game?
Right. So I definitely started with Pit Masters. I think watching Pit Masters actually sort of sparked that conversation at work that got me to cook ribs on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, I always remember Johnny Trigg. As soon as they called him the Godfather of Ribs, I was like, all right, I got to pay attention to what this guy says because I've got to figure this out. So I watched those reruns as much as possible. But at the time, Malcolm Reed was just starting to become a thing on YouTube. And I didn't know he was Malcolm Reed at the time. When I first found him, I found him because I had that electric smoker, and I was thinking about smoking a turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the few guys who had a How to Smoke a Turkey video that was pretty darn good. Well, once I'd seen that and started going through his catalog, because by then I found him probably 4 or 5 years after he started on YouTube, so he had quite the catalog. So, you realize, all right, this guy's got a lot to say, and the proof seems to be in the pudding. He's cranking it out on this Yoder pellet smoker I've never even seen before, but I can adapt this. So I got a lot from there. I did end up on the Barbecue Brethren forums. Those were still pretty active at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, to me, I always loved YouTube for, I worked in a mechanic shop for 4 or 5 years in the summer. But, when something specific would happen with my vehicle, you could always Google that exact vehicle, that exact problem, and watch somebody fix what's broken. So I was always a big fan of YouTube for those kind of things. So once I found out that they were demonstrating barbecue in video format, I was kind of done from that point. I just, Greg over at Ballistic Barbecue, Malcolm, Chef Tom over at All Things Barbecue. It became what I watched. We cut the cord on TV because I just didn't need it at that point. I was just watching barbecue on YouTube.
What made you after you watched all the videos and you got a little skills? What were the first prizes you got, like accolades? Like, was it from the family? Was it from like a church group you cooked for, or who were the people that were saying, Steve Dotson, your barbecue's pretty good, and what got you the big head, so to speak?
Well, it's funny because I'm probably my own toughest critic. These days I don't feel like anything I cook's as good as it should be, and I've got some buddies I compete with that give me heck whenever they ask me about how a cook went, and I tell them, it wasn't great. But I think the first time I cooked a set of ribs that my dad enjoyed was the first time that I thought, okay, I can do this now, because he and I both, it was a thing, right? Whenever we'd go on vacation, we'd find a rib joint and try to get some ribs, and so it's something that he and I both enjoyed, and we also couldn't really get it at home. So the first time I'd made a set that he thought was pretty good, I thought, okay, we're on to something here.
That's a good story. The parental approval always makes us feel good. We're going to take a quick break, Steve, and when we come back, I want to get into your crossover from cooking to instruction, your insanely popular YouTube channel, and your arrangement with our char griller, because I think that's pretty neat. You're listening to The Barbecue Show with Steve Ray. Our special guest from New Milton, West Virginia, is Steve Dotson, America's Cookout coach. And we're welcoming your calls at 423-267-1023. We'll be right back after this short break, so stay with us. All right, we're in break.
Sounds good.
There are plenty of places to get information.
That was good, Steve. You did a great job there. That was good.
Nor the Chattanooga reaction.
Yeah, I got a face for radio, Steve.
That's a good story about your dad.
102.3 FM, the talk.
Yeah, funny story going on with that. This year we built a new cooker. He came and dropped it off for me because we built it over at my brother-in-law's garage there. He calls me about 2 or 3 weeks later because you've been practicing. I said, yeah, I've been practicing. It's good because I don't roll with losers. All right, Daddy.
Assembly and instruction.
Trying to make some crowd, Papa.
Yeah. Aaron, you can remember, you move that camera thing around. We've got some real good different angles now for the people watching on Facebook. Take them around the horn on that thing.
I know you've been looking for a place like this. So was I. And that's how the Allison's Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop began. The best selection of barbecue rubs, sauces, supplies.
Tim Cloud's joined us on Facebook. Welcome, Terry.
You want a rub that's sweet but not too spicy? You've got it.
Tim
Want a mustard-based sauce? We've got that too. Need it? We've got it. At the Allison's Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Oklahoma. It's where Chattanooga goes to barbecue.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are busy in the barbecue store with all the stuff.
On an airplane, if you knew it had a 50% chance of crashing, you may be riding that plane right now. If you have your money in a 401k or IRA and you plan to take out the recommended percentage each year when you retire, your chance of running out of money is 50%. 50%. But there's a better and safer way to
right next to me right now.
Okay, good. We're going to get you on the third segment. We're going to get into that.
All right. I got a good idea for it. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm going to try it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
You're going to involves bacon grease.
You're going to experiment with the Thanksgiving turkey?
We're going to make a bacon grease turkey.
A bacon grease? I can't wait to hear about that. Everybody stay tuned for that, the bacon grease turkey. That's going to be scary.
Scary delicious.
Yes, sir. Steve Dotson has joined us, America's Cookout coach. We'll be talking with him in the second segment on Talk Radio 102.3. If you want to listen to the show on the radio, you can. anywhere in the world, WGOW.com, WGOW.com. Simply click on the Listen Live icon, and you can hear the show as it goes out on the radio. So that's kind of a neat thing. Do they have radio stations in West Virginia?
I think so, but it's been a while, so I'd have to check to tell you.
You're probably a Spotify guy, aren't you?
I'm a podcast guy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I listen to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show, all that for 6 pieces, Pitmasters podcast.
Have you listened
Old
to
Virginia Smoke podcast?
Yeah, I was going to say Luke Varnell's is great. I just came across it the other day. It's super.
Oh yeah, he's a West Virginian too.
Talk Radio 102.3.
All right, welcome back to the Barbecue Show. This is Steve Ray of Owl's Nest Barbecue with you. Our guest is Steve Dotson, America's Cookout coach from New Milton, West Virginia. Steve, let's talk about your YouTube channel, the Cookout Coach. It's an insanely popular channel that you started, and then everybody who's watching may want to go to it and check it out on YouTube, the Cookout Coach. You've got more than 100 videos up by now, don't you?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and count it, but I can vividly remember someone asked me that question, and I thought I had about 70 videos up, and I counted them. At the time, it was like 105, and that was the end of last year. And I was like, wow.
But you know,
we've put a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, the one thing that you do that I think is more interesting than the YouTube are the live presentations that you and your friend have been doing representing Char Griller. Talk about that a little bit. How did you get involved with Char Griller, one of the biggest companies in America? And tell our listeners here in Chattanooga and on Facebook about the seminars that you and your friend put out from the Char Grilling Company.
Yeah, so when I started the YouTube channel, I had the Eggcorn, and that was pretty much, other than the Weber kettle I still had, the Eggcorn was my primary smoker griller because it does it all. So I'd been going for a year on that, and Char Griller put out a call, and they said, hey, we're looking for people who want to be ambassadors. And I said, well, I already use the product. Yeah. I already really like the product. I'm just going to go and throw my hat in the ring. So they responded back, and they said, yeah, we feel like this would be a good fit. So, we got together, and we talked about, what they expect from me and what I can do to help them. So that was about, I believe that was fall of 2018. And we've been working together ever since then. And it's been a great relationship, as we've grown together. I think they sort of trust me a little bit more to represent their brand accurately and in a favorable light. And when COVID happened, of course, all outdoor cooking, whether you sell rubs, whether you sell meat, whether you sell grills, everything took a spike.
Yeah.
So they saw this and they thought they had an opportunity because they have a rather large following on their Facebook page. They said, hey, how about we just get some frequently asked questions together, and you can answer these live, and if people have more questions, you can answer those live as well. So sure, so we did that, and that went well. They said, hey, that was great. We'd like to do it again, but this time, how about you guys cook some steaks and cook them live and show people how to do that? So, when you go from recorded video to live video, there are some technical challenges you've got to either just get past or overcome. So it's a little bit tricky, but the raw experience, I think, has its own appeal. These people are any person can put together a video, and I can edit it and make it look like I know exactly what I'm doing. But I think people appreciate when you're willing to put it on the line there and say, okay, these are the steaks I've got. This is how I'm going to cook them, and you're going to watch me do it. And as those steps fall in line, you're going to go, well, that guy actually did know what he was talking about, and that steak looks pretty darn good.
And
Char
Griller is one of those companies that their cooking devices are popularly priced. Most people can afford them, and they're perfect, I think, for a person who is in just getting started and even the intermediate. I know I had the hybrid smoker for years, gas on one side and a charcoal grill on the other side. And I had the offset on it that you could use as a smoker, and that was kind of the first thing I started with when I started, and I cooked on it for, gosh, 2.5 years before I upgraded to something else for the house, and it worked great. And do you see people gravitating towards that, Steve? I mean, do you recommend something like that if people, like what would you recommend in the char griller line for people starting out?
Right. So you're exactly right there, and that's sort of how I fell into them. Right. I had an Acorn because I didn't want to go out and spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a smoker. These are nicely priced products that I can go and pick up. It was in my price range, and they work, and they work pretty well. So when people come to me and they ask me, hey, what should I get? My first question is, what do you want to do? Because if you want one cooker to rule them all, if you want to be able to grill, smoke, and do all the things, then you should probably get an Acorn. Because, I'm looking over right now, I've got a Competition Offset Pro, which is one of their bigger offsets they make. You can grill on that. It comes with the Cowboy grill in the firebox, but it's not going to be as easy. You're not going to have as much space to grill. So in that case, if you need something to do it all, I recommend the Acorn. Now, if you want to just smoke, get one of their offsets. It's going to be a smoke machine. You've got plenty of space. You can still do some other things with it if you want, but it's all a question of what do you primarily want to do. Now, they've got the flat irons now, which are the griddles, which is a whole new style of cooking even for me. I've got one of the portable ones right now, and I absolutely love that thing.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different style of cooking, and they're made very, very well, and it's a ton of fun. So there's not a whole lot in their range I don't recommend. And let me tell you something. They've got a few things that have just came out to Home Depot. They just released a new offset that looks pretty fantastic. I haven't got a chance to get out to Home Depot to get my hands on it, but it's called the Grand Champ. It's a little bigger. It's a little thicker metal. It looks fantastic. And I think we might see some more cool stuff coming out pretty soon from them. So I can't wait to see what the winter holds for us here.
So when they have something come out, do you get to go down to Home Depot and say, "Hey, I'm Steve Dotson. I'm America's Cookout coach and ambassador to Char Griller," and you just give me one of those things and write it off to Char Griller?
Well, let me first say I don't think I've ever gone anywhere and said, "Hi, I'm Steve Dotson, America's Cookout coach." But generally, in those sorts of situations, Char Griller and I will have the conversation beforehand, and they'll have what's coming out, and they'll have an idea of what they want me to represent. I do appreciate in our agreements, they understand I've only got so much time, and that's usually a conversation we have at the beginning of every year of, how much do you think you can produce? And based on that, they sort of have their wish list for what they would like me to demonstrate with that kind of thing. And I'm usually all in about it because really, I'll be honest with you, Steve, as long as I get to play with fire and cook outside, I'm really happy to do about anything. So, I leave it pretty much in their court, but there is definitely some allotment for me to say, I really want to play with this cooker. Can we get one of those?
Steve, if I was Steve Dotson, America's Cookout coach, I would have that on every shirt that I have. everywhere I went. When I went to a little seminar, when you get those little stick-on things that says, "Hello, I'm Steve Dotson, America's Cookout coach," I would be so proud of that.
I'll remember that for next time.
I'd be just so proud of that. When you're talking with other people that want to start cooking or just started cooking, and I know you run into them at the contests that you do in KCBS and in your community, from your correspondence with viewers on your YouTube channel. What is the top questions that people ask you about outdoor and live fire cooking and barbecue that people are puzzled over and have a hard time coming to grips with?
The most common questions I get from folks all involve airflow. But it doesn't start out as an airflow question usually. It starts out as, my cooker won't come down below a certain temp, or my cooker won't go up to a certain temp, or it won't stabilize. And everything comes back to, in outdoor cooking, everything comes back to fire management. So, every one of those conversations start with, well, what's your bottom damper set at? What's your top damper set at? Mm-hmm. How long have you given this cooker to sit down? And there have been people that have been so frustrated with it that I'll go with them and say, hey, look, here's what I want you to do. And I get this a lot with the acorns because it's an extremely tight cooker. So if you don't know what it's doing, it can look like it's just going bananas on you. But I've had more than one person I've told said, look, here's what I want you to do. I've got this video. Go watch it. I'm going to tell you what I tell you in it, but go watch it after this conversation. I want you to light a quarter of a chimney of charcoal. I want you to pour that lit chimney of charcoal over top of some unlit charcoal in this cooker. I want you to leave the lid open for 2 minutes. You're going to shut it. You're going to shut that bottom vent down to a quarter, and you're going to shut the top vent down to just over the half moons. And you're just going to watch the temperature for an hour, and don't touch it, and wait till it stops. And once it stops, then we can start adjusting things. Okay. And I want them to see that because they need to see that, one, it will stop. And once it stops, I want them to see, when I tell you to barely move that top vent and you barely move it and it moves 5 degrees, suddenly you're in control of this. And that's a game changer. And once you do that, you can accelerate that process. You don't necessarily need an hour to bring it up to temp anymore. But you need to see the mechanics in the beginning and understand how the airflow is controlling everything.
Fire management is one thing that, we sell the Green Mountain pellet smokers and the pellet smokers. That's one thing that, and they're great. They're great smokers, but that's one thing you don't get to do is learn any fire management on it. And, learning to manage a fire is, it's important. I think, Steve, and it's part of the fun of barbecue. And that brings us to a question we've got here on Facebook. Mike Williams wants to know, are you going to do any more videos on the offsets? He says he's watched all the ones that you have, and he really enjoys them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I've got to be honest. The acorns, the flat irons, the other charcoal ones I have, I usually pump out one recipe video a month, and the acorns just make life so easy. I've got 2 small children myself, and if I'm going to roll out the offset and cook on it, it's a ton of fun, but I kind of need a day where I don't need to be in charge of watching children because I got to watch that fire. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the last cook I did on the offset was on the Char Griller Facebook page. We did a 4-part series of live cooking of some ribs. And this was like a day I got home right after a competition cook. And it started out, the very first series, I was in a downpour. I couldn't look down at my ribs because the water was coming so hard off the bill of my hat, they would just wash the rub off. But if you haven't gone and seen that, I'd really recommend head over to the Char Griller Facebook page, find I think it's a 4-part rib cook, where it was just one of those, I was at the house by myself, we were filming this, it was super relaxed, I was managing the fire, but I wasn't being super crazy about it. It was running somewhere between 275 and 300 all day. Mm-hmm. And I took 5th place ribs in the comp the day before. And I'll be doggone if the ribs I pulled off that offset, just cooking in my front yard, not even paying much attention, didn't come off and taste better than any single rib I turned in the prior day. So, yeah, if you're looking for them, you don't see them on my Facebook page, go watch that series over you don't see them on my YouTube channel. Go watch them over on the Char Griller Facebook page. But, yeah, I've definitely got some more stuff I want to do. It's getting cold, so it's a great time. We might do some jerky. We might do some pastrami. I've never done pastrami, but I want to. And this colder weather just kind of feels about right. Here in West Virginia, sometimes in winter we'll get a nice day. So we might just throw some sticks in the offset there and see what happens.
Well, those ribs tasted so good because the air was so filled with water and moisture. Tuffy Stone said that's when he realized how important water was. Every time he cooked in the rain, his food was better. And that just goes to show you how important moisture is in your cooker, whether it's a water pan or a cooker designed like the one I've got, a water cooker, to to make the food better.
Right. So your Meyer mixing H2O is designed for that water to be at a rolling boil. And I wouldn't have believed that if I hadn't had my hands on those cookers by myself and watched them do what they do. That's different than just having a water pan in the cooker for sure, like Tuffy does. Or like I'll actually do it. I'll put a foil pan in front of the opening to the offset firebox on that charcoal offset.
Yep.
And essentially create a water baffle. And I don't necessarily need it to work like it does in your H2O. What I always like about having a little bit of water in there is that if I make the humidity 100% inside of the cooker, suddenly the rain doesn't matter. Like if we go to a competition and the humidity changes, well, it doesn't matter because I'm already at 100% humidity inside my cooker anyways.
Right. So that's that in itself, Steve, is a great tip for anybody listening that's just starting out and wanting to know how they get more tender food, more tender meat is to put a little water pan in the smoker that you're using. I know that on the Acorn, I believe, I'm not sure how the Acorn, how much room you've got in Acorn. I remember I had an egg, and I know I could put a water pan underneath the grill grate, and when I was cooking food on the green egg. Is there room in the Acorn for a water pan?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I tell people, because sometimes people still want to cook at 225, and if you want to do that on an Acorn, it's rather difficult. But what you can do is you can set a water pan on top of your cooking stone, and just like you said, there's enough room between the grate and that cooking stone where you can put that water pan in there and fill it up, and that'll actually help you hold that Acorn at 225 if you really want to. Me, I like cooking on it at 275, but yep, that's exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah.
The other thing about having a water pan is you can, if you're cooking something that's really fatty, like a brisket or a pork butt, and, when you get that fat raining down, whether it's on that ceramic stone or onto the coals themselves, a little bit of that grease burning smells nice, right? It smells like an old burger joint. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of it going and burning, though, and it smells terrible. So if you've got that water pan and you start to get to that point where it's a little bit too much, you just slide your meat right over top of that water pan. Suddenly, that grease is getting collected now, and because there's water, it's not burning. So, there's a lot of nice things about having a little bit of water in a cooker.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break, Steve. You're listening to The Barbecue Show with your host, Steve Ray, owner of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ooltewah, where we will be open tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. For all you turkey heads out there, head on over, and we'll help you get some stuff for your Thanksgiving turkey. I know you're getting ready to do it. We'll be open all day tomorrow from 8 until 4, and I will be there all day. We'll have our Green Mountain grills out front. We'll have the big tent out there, and we will have we'll probably put something on the Green Mountain grill, the demo, and maybe we'll do some chicken wings or something like that. That'll be a lot of fun. Our guest tonight, though, is America's Cookout coach, Steve Dotson from New Milton, West Virginia, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk more about Steve's YouTube channel during the break. Go there and check it out, and we'll be talking more with Steve about the art of backyard cooking, and then Steve is going to share with us his unbelievable, unusual turkey recipe for his Thanksgiving feast on Thursday. All that and more right here on The Barbecue Show with Steve Ray. Stay with us.
$100, 10 times.
That's good, Steve. You're great, man. You are fantastic.
Let me ask you, during these breaks, am I still live on Facebook right now?
Yeah, you sure are. Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we're broadcasting.
Good.
Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe.
sorry to bother you. Break at 50, and I won't bother you during that break, and next time you hear from me, it'll be 1 minute warning.
Okay. Any callers yet?
None yet.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Cookout coach.
The Cookout coach. Yeah, I'd have that all over my shirts. I'd have it on the pocket of my pants. I'd have a ball cap that said America's Cookout coach. That's
my
great.
brother,
a great tag. It's a great tag.
So we put up a Cookout Coach banner when we go to competitions, which is fun because nobody knows where DQ Barbecue is.
Right.
My brother's starting to take offense to it. He's like, I'm going to buy a stupid DQ Barbecue banner and just put it up so people know. I was like, buddy, it's branding.
I know. I would think you would cook under the Cookout Coach. That to me, that would make more sense than DQ. I mean, I like DQ Barbecue, but I would think that would be your flag, the Cookout Coach competition.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Well, so Steve, you know that originally the YouTube channel was called DQ Barbecue.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, it was always supposed to be DQ Barbecue. DQ Barbecue is very hard to search, though.
I know because
when I was brand new.
Because how do you spell it? I mean, that's the thing. How do you spell DQ'd?
Yep. So that's when I changed the YouTube channel, but I still liked it for my, I picked it for the competition team name before the YouTube channel ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason I decided to start a YouTube channel. So DQ Barbecue it was. Then when we were having a little trouble getting traction, so we changed it to Cookout Coach. But I still like DQ Barbecue. So I figured I'd do a Malcolm Reed thing. You know, he's got How to Barbecue Right, but his team name's Killer Hogs. I said, if he's good enough to do it, I'm good enough to do it.
Yeah, right. Let's compare ourselves to Malcolm Reed.
Makes me feel better.
Malcolm could. He's got a new YouTube channel coming out about. He's going to be reviewing products. He and Mark.
That's what he says.
Yeah, I tried to find it. I don't know if it's up and running yet. I couldn't find it.
I think it's called Out of the Smoke. I haven't found it
something
yet,
like
but I haven't looked either.
Mark Williams does a great job too. Swine Life
Barbecue.
Yeah, Mark does a good job. His videos are great.
I mean, he's not America's Cookout Coach. But
no, he's not.
I'll be honest with you, Steve. Before tonight, I didn't realize I was America's Cookout Coach.
Well, you are. I mean, you are that. You're the Cookout Coach, America's Cookout Coach. How could you not be?
Definitely am the Cookout Coach.
You're the Tom Brady of backyard barbecue.
Not a big New England fan or Tampa Bay fan, but I'll take it. He is the GOAT.
Oh yeah.
I can't compare myself to Malcolm Reed, but you're going to call me the GOAT.
After Joe Montana, he is. After Joe Montana, he is the greatest of all time. Ken Smith, welcome to the show. Ken Smith joined us from Nashville. We're going to get Ken on the show one night.
Best beard and barbecue. He won an award that says so.
That's right. Best beard and barbecue. His Faces to Places podcast is awesome, too. He's got a new one out. I think it dropped yesterday. We should be coming back in just a short while. Joe should turn up the sound right before we come back.
Sounds good.
Set of Michelin's. That's 643-1111, the Midnight Oil in Ottawa.
Talk Radio 102.3 FM, the Talk Monster.
You're back. The Barbecue Show with Steve Ray, our guest tonight. The America's Cookout Coach, Steve Dotson, and we're talking barbecue. Our number's 423-267-1023. If you got a barbecue question, don't be bashful. Jump on the phone line and give us a call. There are no bad questions in barbecue. Just because if you don't know something, I guarantee you Steve Dotson knows it, and he will help you get pointed in the right direction. Steve, on your YouTube channel, 11,000 subscribers, great advice on barbecue. And what I like about your channel is it's very entertaining, but it is instructional. And if you're looking for a subject to research and you want to go to the Cookout Coach and search it, all of Steve's videos are very hands-on and how-to. Did you mean to do it that way, Steve, or is that, how did you pick your style on that?
I did it like that, and I did it on accident, to be honest with you. And we touched on it a little bit earlier there. I had always gone to YouTube as a search engine, as a place to solve a problem, sort of transactional. I need this, so I go there, I learn how to do that, I leave. So that's just the videos that I made because that was the videos that I watched. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd learned over time, slowly, hey, well, there's people who actually kind of want to talk to you about this thing, kind of would like to get more of your opinion. So at that point, I tried to, I keep it instructional. I keep it as a knowledge-sharing kind of thing because I like that. I like to talk to people about cooking barbecue, and the YouTube channel is just me talking to people about it. Just I'm staring at the camera while I'm talking to them about it. But I've tried to add in a little bit more of, a little bit more of my personality, a little bit more of, the things that are my opinions that, they're probably not necessarily factual, and you could go multiple ways. But, since you're here on my channel, I'm going to tell you this is what I like to do, and this is why I like to do it. Mm-hmm. For instance, I've got buddies that cringe when I tell them hickory is clearly the best smoking wood there is. They don't agree with me, but that's fine. That's who I am and what I do. And sometimes people want to know that. Sometimes they just want to fight with me about it. But either way, it's sort of grown into this. We're still very informational, but at the same time, we're going to let you know what we think about things.
And I agree with that. If you can't find oak, hickory is the best.
Hey, you're adorable.
What about Michael Williams wants to know, what is your go-to lump charcoal? You've got a great video about charcoal on your YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Because, I've made several videos about charcoal just because a lot of people say things, but they don't actually test them to find out if they're true. So I like to make videos on that. But my go-to lump charcoal, and I was actually just talking to these people tonight, is B&B hickory lump charcoal. I've never had a charcoal that you light off that smells as good as B&B hickory lump. I don't even think I really necessarily need to put wood in it when I light that stuff off. It's great. It's my favorite by far.
B&B lump hickory.
Yep.
And
comes in a green bag.
Mm-hmm. Where do they sell it? At the Ace Hardwares in West Virginia?
Yeah, you can get them at Ace Hardwares. If you're in other places, you can get them at like Academy Sports. And I just found out that apparently Rural King carries them. I don't know if you have any Rural Kings down there. No. If you don't, I feel bad for you because they're kind of great stores.
B&B lump hickory charcoal. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Steve, I want you to get ready and share with everybody your Thanksgiving turkey recipe here on WGOW Talk Radio 102.3 and on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page live. We'll be right back with Steve Dotson, America's Cookout Coach, on the Barbecue Show with Steve Ray. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
The time flies.
That's a really quick segment.
Huh? Yeah,
that's a really quick segment.
Yeah, they're quick on this half. That's just the way it is.
Yep. Good old B&B hickory.
Michael says his favorite lump is Kamado Joe Big Block.
Yeah, I've never used that stuff, but I see that Lowe's carries it now.
Can you imagine anybody thinking there would be this many types of charcoal on the market? And
that's what
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Earlier in this year, it got hard for me to find B&B stuff, so I was running Kingsford at competitions.
Yeah.
And just like there are smoker snobs, there's just as many charcoal snobs these days running, Fogo and Jealous Devil and this and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. But when you're a charcoal snob and you look down on somebody for running blue bag and then they beat you running blue bag, that's one of my favorite things.
I'm a blue bag fan. That's what I use in my gravity feeds. My Myron mix. I started with Kingsford. I use wood after I get the fire up.
Yep.
But it's
yep.
Chris Lemon says blue bag only for me. I'm with you, Chris. I'm with you.
Yep.
Not the competition blend.
Chris Lemon.
Yep.
He's the mayor of South Charleston, West Virginia, right there.
Wow. South Charleston, West Virginia.
There's South Charleston.
How many people live there?
Chris Lemon does though, and he makes delicious barbecue sauces and rubs.
Michael says there's a Rural King in Sweetwater, Tennessee. I think I've heard of that. It's kind of like a farm store, isn't
great.
it? Isn't it like a farm store?
Yeah, but they got everything. They carry a lot of Old World Spice stuff now too, so you can get like Clark Crew Barbecues rubs there. They carry all Blues Hog stuff. Yeah, it's great.
Did you see Amy on the webinar Wednesday?
I did not.
She was on there. She did a good job. They did a how to bring your product to market webinar. The NBBQA did. It was good. It was real good. I enjoyed it. They had,
good deal.
Noah was there. Amy, Sterling Smith, and I know I'm leaving out somebody. I forgot the guy's name who's moderating it, but he did a good job. Oh, what's his name?
You know, I'm not part of the BBQA, but I should be.
Yeah, you should be. Flavor Anonymous, or Anonymous Flavor Anonymous.
Oh, Shane Draper.
Yeah, Shane Draper. That's it.
Shane
Draper.
Shane Draper.
Yeah. We'll have, when we come back, we'll have Steve Jordan. Thanks for joining us. Steve is a lumberjack pellet guy from Rural King. He gets those at Rural King, Sweetwater. We'll have about, we'll probably have about 4 minutes before we'll have to sign off, okay?
Okay.
So when you do the turkey, make it...
Keep it brief.
Keep it brief, make it concise, but interesting and entertaining.
I'm going to talk about putting bacon grease on turkey, so how is that not entertaining?
I know. You know what I mean? I was going to say that would be awesome.
102.3.
Welcome back to the Barbecue Show. This is Steve Ray. With me, my special guest, Steve Dotson, America's Cookout Coach. All right, Steve, it's coming up. The Super Bowl of Turkey Day, Thanksgiving. It's the biggest cooking day of the year in this country. The Steve Dotson family heirloom recipe for turkey. Let's go. Do it.
Well, this isn't exactly heirloom, but I will tell you, currently I'm sitting next to a test turkey. And when I say sitting next to, it's in a cooler. It's currently brining in some Cosmos Q turkey brine. You could inject, and I've injected in the past. I've also dry brined with salt in the past, and they're both great. But this year on the competition circuit, I fell in love again with wet brining. So this sucker is going to wet brine for 24 hours till tomorrow. Now, when we get to tomorrow, we're going to pull it out, dry it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have me some bacon for breakfast tomorrow morning. I'm going to save that grease.
Okay.
And before we start seasoning this turkey up, I'm going to take that bacon grease and I'm going to rub it all over, not just the skin on the outside, but I want to get up under that skin. I want to get that bacon flavor all over as much of the turkey meat as I can, because you got to remember, with that bacon grease, we're carrying smoke from the bacon. We're carrying the pork fat. We're carrying the salt. We're carrying a lot of flavor just in that bacon grease. Now on the outside, I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to go with a mixture of Cosmos Q Dirty Bird and a little bit of Honey Killer Bee just to get some sweet notes on that turkey.
Mm-hmm.
This turkey's going to go on my Acorn because a Kamado is just an excellent cooker when it comes to turkey. Moves a little bit of smoke so it doesn't get too dark, just get the perfect golden. Probably going to throw in a little stick of cherry wood just to give it just a touch of smoke. And we're going to set her in there at 275. Now, here's the magic power of the Kamado is once I see that bird get up to about 90 degrees internal temperature, I'm going to ramp that Kamado up to about 400 degrees.
Whoa.
And what that's going to do is, while that bird is finishing, because you got to remember, it's not going to be at 400 degrees the whole time. I'm going to open the vent, and it's going to increase over time. But it's going to increase by moving a ton of air over top of that bird. And by doing that, along with the bacon fat, it's going to crisp that turkey skin up. Because there's nothing worse on any smoked poultry than having floppy, soggy skin. So I've done it in years past. I know it works. We're going to use that trick on the Kamado to get delicious, crispy turkey skin. And it's going to be a bacon grease turkey.
How long
I should have that video out.
How long will you let it stay up there, Steve?
Oh, that bird will be done in under 3 hours.
Oh, okay. So when you ramp it up to 400, it stays there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. 400. I thought cooking at 315 was a high for a turkey.
Now it'll come together where it'll get to about 400 at about the time that it finishes. It's all about the journey to get there, Steve.
Thank you, Grasshopper. What and then you're not worried about moistness and how America's Cookout Coach, what internal temperature are you looking for in this bird?
So, we'll, especially since we're going to be coming up hot on the end of it, I'm going to pull this bird off at about 160 because I have no doubt that it will rest up to the 165 safe temperature.
Mm-hmm.
No problems there.
Yeah.
As far as moisture goes, I'm definitely not worried about that. Between the brine and the biggest thing is pulling this bird off before it gets over 165. That's what's going to dry you out more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
1 minute, Steve.
Thanks, Joe. I agree with that, Steve. People cook. They cook them too far. They're all worried about dying, eating poultry, and
absolutely.
They were taking
biggest tip when it comes to turkey, Steve. Pull out that popper and throw it away because it doesn't pop until about 185.
I know. Hey, real quick before we have to go, and I appreciate you being with us, Steve. Did you know that the turkeys that you buy in the store are created by artificial insemination? Because turkeys have been bred with such large pectorals, breasts, they cannot naturally mate. And if you want more turkey trivia, tune in tomorrow to Patreon.com, Harry Sue. Patreon, Patreon.com, Harry Sue, for a live Zoom 60-minute turkey expose on Zoom tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. I know you'll be tuned in, Steve, and I know I'll be tuned in at the gas station watching Harry Sue. Steve, thank you so much for being on the show. You don't know how much we appreciate it. Everybody, you can catch Steve, the Cookout Coach, on YouTube, the Cookout Coach. Follow him on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Of course I'm on Instagram.
He's on Instagram, too. Steve, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
What a payday.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Friday night.
WFM, Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
Wow, he was great. Steve, you're